Welcome to the Mindful Nomad podcast. I'm your host, Miguel Gutierrez. This podcast is an exploration into the world of creatives, community leaders, and entrepreneurs, taking a deep dive into their lives, focusing strongly on lifestyle, spirituality, mental health, and education. So grab a seat, relax, and join me for this exciting journey through conversations with other mindful nomads. This was previously recorded for the podcast Travel Cuts and Consciousness, but I've decided to keep it on a playlist as it still aligns well with the Mindful Nomads podcast. Enjoy. So, welcome to another episode of Travel Cuts and Consciousness. My guest today is Peter Cranfield. Peter is a owner of multiple barbershops, a successful brand, and he cuts many a footballer's hair. And he's one of my oldest friends within the barber industry and out as well. So, yeah, welcome today, Pete.
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. You've got your own podcast as well, haven't you?
I have, yeah, in the chair with Cutthroat Pete. Give it a little plug. It's just seems like a great thing for us to get into, within our industry. Obviously, we're used to talking and sitting down and talking to people is something that I really enjoy doing. So just seemed like a good step for me to go in and do something like that.
Yeah. We go through all these creative cycles within our industry, don't we? Like, we all went from cutting hair to taking photos to making videos, lap dancing.
I still do
that. How long ago did you start your podcast?
I started this time last year, I think. The end of 2019. I've totally lost track because of obviously we've done nothing for basically a year.
We lost a year.
Yeah, we did. We lost a year. I'm still 34. But yeah, no, I started 18 months ago, I think. And I was a guest on a different podcast, and that one's produced by the BBC. And I got to know the producer on that one, and he kind of gave me some information and just said to me, why don't you do a podcast? And it was already something that was in my mind anyway, so he gave me some pointers on how to do it and how to get it set up, and yeah, I just went from there with it. Really, to be honest, I've struggled with it because obviously for the past year or so, before lockdown, I've been trying to still find my feet on balancing cutting hair with doing the other things that I enjoy doing. So yeah, I'd go through little spells where I have like 5 or 6 guests lined up. I'll record them, I'll edit them, and then I'll try and put them out in little blocks. But then I forget to record anymore, or I don't get the time. So yeah, it's a bit inconsistent, man, really, which isn't a good thing in the podcast game, I do know. But yeah, it is up there on the list of my priorities to record more and to talk to more people. Especially at the moment, it's a strange time for everyone, and everyone's got a bit of an interesting story. Whether they're sat at home all day, I don't know, making their business better, or just watching Netflix, or everyone's got an interesting story, I find. So I definitely do want to carry on with mine as well.
It is really like difficult with the consistency. Like, I recorded all good intentions when I first started. Had like 7 guests lined up. Recorded them all in 1 week. Had a massive gap with editing a few of them towards the end. I was like, because I was doing video at the start too. And then a few months went on, and I was like, oh my god, it's been like 6-7 months, because like the time went so fast. In the back end of last year. And then I ended up recording another one with Alan, and then we did another one like a few weeks ago with Alan and Reese.
Right.
So like it's basically just become Alan's podcast. But like I wanted to have you on it for a while, because obviously you're based in Liverpool, kind of. You're a bit of a wall now.
What do you mean, mate?
Yeah, Pete lives over the water, which we have
the dark side.
The dark side. It's like a bit of politics between Liverpool and the world.
I'm not from there though, I just live there.
Yeah, you sound like it now. I mean, I probably sound more like it.
Jam roly poly. I've just rubbed that one off John, who was talking about before. Yeah. Jammy Rovers. There is, shout. I'm not claiming them as mine at all.
So yeah, I mean, I always say this, like, for anyone who doesn't know you
who I'm guessing a lot of people do know you, who are connected to me through my podcast and through my Instagram or whatever. Your t-shirts were plastered all over me for the first couple of years of me travels.
Sponsorship deal.
A sponsorship deal. I never got paid for that, actually.
It's in the post.
Can you give everyone a little bit of an insight into your career or your background as well, like where you're from? And
yeah. So I'm from Liverpool, obviously, not the Wirral. And then I hated school. I was a bit of a pain in the backside in school. I've always hated what you call it, like authority. I've always been hated being told what to do, and I just never take well to that really. My mum and dad were amazing growing up, because I think they were onto that fact that I wasn't a good listener, and I wasn't a good person to to take commands or anything like that. So
sit.
So yeah, school was a bit of a nightmare for me. I absolutely hated it, to be honest. It's left me with kind of a horrible taste in my mouth about school.
Hopefully not one of the teachers.
Yeah. I speak to a few teachers from school, to be honest, and it's always strange for me, because I had this view in school that I hated every single teacher, whether they were sound or not. I just hated them all. And now I see them and I think, well, I shouldn't really give him such a hard time. But yeah, as I say, growing up, I just didn't like authority. I just didn't like being told what to do, and it wasn't in a spoiled brat kind of way. It was that's just how I was. That was my personality. I worked much better if I was left to my own devices, and I had the choice to decide what it was I wanted to learn. And since leaving school, I've learned so many more valuable lessons than I did when I was at school. I feel like school was, you go, you learn maths, science, English, and then you leave and you put out into this big wide world, and a lot of people don't know what they want to do. I was one of them people. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't totally know. I just knew I didn't want to be barked orders, but didn't want orders barked at me. So I left school and I did sports science for 6 months. I think I went to college, and I almost ended up fighting with one of the tutors, and a few of the lads on the football course that ran alongside our course. I had a couple of little fights with a few of them, and I was just a bit of I think I had too much testosterone in my body at that point, so I don't know what it was. But yeah, again, it was a school environment. I was going to college and I was getting told what to do, and I just didn't enjoy it at all. And I left college, and I was trying to think of what to do. I was trying to, think of something that I could do that would allow me to just be me, and just to enjoy myself daily, and to do things, my way. And my mum and dad they were great. They gave me time to, to decide what I was going to do. And what I did hate at that point in my life was the fact that I wasn't earning money. I wanted to kind of be independent, and so yeah, luckily it didn't take me too long before I was 18. I was about 17 and a half, just after my 17th birthday, something like that. I decided to go and ask my barber at the time whether I could do an apprenticeship with him, and luckily he said yeah. And that was the start of my barbering career, my barbering journey. Took me about 9 months to start, to do my first haircut. One thing I have always been is critical of my own work, and if I'm going to do something, I like to do it properly and correctly. And the lad who taught me was kind of, always saying to me, "Oh, you ready? Let's get you some models in to cut the hair." And I knew I wasn't ready. And then, as I say, 9 months passed by, and I did my first shaved head, and then yeah, just went from there really. I worked in different barbershops. Obviously, I worked with you. How old were you when we worked together? 17, 18?
Just turned 17.
Yeah, I was 20, 19.
Yeah, you looked about 30. You looked older then.
So yeah, and then I worked in a number of different barbershops, different style barbershops as well. Obviously, Voodoo, where me and you worked in Liverpool, was at the time it was very current, and it was a lot of people.
It'd gone back in time. It had highlights and mullets everywhere.
Yeah, mullets. Everyone was into dance music. It was a wild time, to be honest.
It was like head candy was like the big thing in the shop. Wasn't it?
And garlands. They'd come round with the garlands guest list, wouldn't they? Yeah. We'd all get our name on there. And yeah, Thursday nights out, we'd go out on a Thursday night, and God knows why we picked Thursday, because obviously Friday, you know, you'd have a jam-packed day, and then Saturday was the same, and you'd be hungover till Sunday, and just horrible. You know, it was a weird time. You'd get paid on the last day of the month, and my wages would be gone that day, and I'd be borrowing money all month. You know, the money was terrible. And for we did 20-minute appointments, didn't we? I always talk about this. So our appointments were 20 minutes long, so we were expected to do 3 haircuts an hour. That was with a wash, a consultation, and then a haircut. So wash and consultation probably take 7 minutes. So you had about 13 minutes to do a haircut that you were charging you know, really good money for back then.
Well, it started as like the graduate stylist, which was someone who couldn't go to there early, was like 14 quid.
Yeah.
£14, sorry.
Yeah.
Which that's 2004. 2003.
2004,
yeah. So that's quite a lot of money back then for a haircut.
Yeah.
Even like now, that's more than the average normal barbershop.
Yeah. My prices were, I think I was about $18.50 or something, and then I went up when they moved into a bigger shop, and then my prices went up to about £22, I think, and that was 2004 for a 20-minute appointment. No wonder they were making lots of money, but yeah. So I say I worked in a lot of different barbershops, gained a lot of experience, worked with barbers from all over the world, really. And then 2000, I was 24, so whatever year that was, 2000 and I don't know, 2000 and something. I was 24 anyway. I opened a shop in Liverpool with my brother, and then I've worked for myself since then. And yeah, I've kind of, from them days of being in school and hating being told what to do, and I've just found that, from the age of 24 onwards, I've been able to thrive, and I've been able to do my own thing, and I've had no one telling me what to do, and yeah, just I
Apart
enjoy.
From Jen, maybe.
Jen's cool. She knows who's the boss. She'll listen to this and laugh at me, but yeah, throw me there. Yeah, but yeah, as I say, it's
come on a long way.
I enjoy working for myself, yeah, and my business now is what it is. I love it. I love what I do. I love my shops. I love who I've got working for me, and I feel very lucky to be in a position that I'm in work-wise, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's funny that you've kind of built this little world around you still working for yourself, because you have the 2 shops,
yeah,
but then you still have your own private studio.
yeah.
So you have the brand, but then you are still keeping it private for your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Was the first shop you worked in Kiki's?
No, it was before that. I worked in Crew. I think it was called JC's back then in Chilwell on the triangle there.
Oh, was that yeah? And then you went.
Yeah, I did about 6 months there, and then
you went with Charlie to Kiki's.
Yeah. Then he opened Kiki's on Lawrence Road,
which was a very different clientele.
Yeah. So obviously, we went from working in Chilwell, which was I don't know, there was quite a bit of money around there, and kids were posh for Liverpool kids, I suppose. You'd have
as posh as you can be for
Liverpool
kid.
Yeah. You'd have the mums bringing them in and nice cars and stuff, and then we went to Lawrence Road, and it was, to be honest, it was a great area. It was a lovely community area. Everyone was really close knit, and it was a lot different. A lot of a different lot different of a vibe. It was primarily like a black barbershop, I suppose. We had every type of person in there, but we were basically doing fades all day, and it was a great time for me. I learned a lot working there, and I was really sad for that time to come to an end. To be honest, I got a death threat, and that's what kind of stopped me working there. Someone threatened to kill me.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, and it was a bit of a weird time, that, because I've openly talked about mental health and stuff on my socials and my whatever channels, and that was a big part of how my mental health's gone, was that time in my life. And yeah, it was just out the blue. One day a lad rang up and said that I'd called his brother a racist name, and he wanted I think £150 a week out of the shop, otherwise he was going to shoot me. And although now I look back and I think, what an idiot, he was probably just after some protection money or whatever. At that particular time, when he's ringing the shop and saying he's watching you through the window, and he's got a gun, don't try and leave, and rang the police, and they kind of took the time, came round the next day and interviewed me and whatever. There was no real urgency to it. And so my dad came to the shop and picked me up, and I had a bit of time off work because I was obviously distraught about it and a bit distressed. And
You were only young.
yeah, I was 18, 19, and I just decided to call it a day. I thought, I didn't know who it was calling the shop, so I didn't want that guy to come and sit in my chair and, me have to cut his hair, or I didn't want anything to happen to the shop, And obviously, I need to make it clear I didn't call anyone a racist name. That's not me. I'm not about that. So it was just, as I say, looking back, it was obviously just an opportunist who thought I can get £150 a week out of that shop, £600 a month, just make a story up and do it. But yeah, the police were adamant that it was like a protection money kind of thing, and that's how they gone about it. But yeah, it affected me massively in the long term. For a while, I was a little bit nervous, and yeah, it just made me kind of try and read people. So someone would sit down in my chair, or I'd meet someone new, and I'd try and read them straight away, and I'd try and evaluate whether they were a sound person or not. And yeah, it was a weird time, but yeah, so that abruptly came to an end there. And then I went straight from there to voodoo. And the funny thing is, I wasn't a qualified barber when I went to voodoo. I'd only been cutting hair for 9 months. So I'd been, including my apprenticeship, I'd been working in a barber shop for about 18 months. And they said to me, "Are you qualified?" And I was like, "Not yet, but I can cut hair." Been cutting hair for 9 months, a year. So they got me in for a trade test, did a couple of haircuts, and they said, "Right, when can you start? You've got a job." And as I say, I wasn't qualified. I hadn't been to college or anything like that, and they gave me a job. So about 4 or 5 years after that, I went to night school and did my qualifications, just so that I did have them in case I ever wanted to travel, or in case it ever became a law or anything. And so yeah, I am qualified. But yeah,
Don't worry, everyone. He's qualified.
Yeah, just in case anyone starts panicking. But yeah, no, that was how my little journey went around that time.
Isn't it funny that it's nearly 20 years on and there's still not a legislation or any criteria for barbers?
Mate, it's scary, isn't it? If we want to go anywhere else in the world, we have to prove that we've done our qualifications, and yeah, anyone can come to this country and open a barber shop and crack on. It's scary.
Not anymore, with
yeah.
Brexit and stuff.
Yeah, but up until that, sorry, let's move that way. Yeah, up until that, it was easy for people to come and do that, and it's a strange one, because I was speaking to someone about this recently, and we were saying about pricing, in barbershops, and a lot of them shops that literally are just popping up and charging £10 for a haircut. It's kind of driving our end of the business down, maybe. But then again, people know what they're getting if they walk into a barbershop, and it's £10, I suppose. So
I think it goes round in circles, doesn't it? Because in the 60s, 70s, barbershops weren't always the cheap place to go to get a haircut. It's when longer hair came in and barbers didn't know how to do it. That's when they started to drive the prices down.
Yeah.
So it happens again, you know what I mean? So eventually barbering gets back to the standard where it needs to be in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, and then everyone wants to become a barber.
Yeah.
And then you're inundated with people who are opening shops, oversaturate the market, and then everyone tries to undercut each other.
Yeah.
And then you get people from, we do get people, there's a lot of foreign barbershops as well here, charging cheaper prices. It's hard to compete with that as well sometimes.
Yeah. I wonder how they're doing that as well. They open these shops that looks like they've spent a lot of money on, and a lot of them are high street shops, and you just think, wow, they must be doing 100 haircuts a day to be charging £7 to £10 for a haircut.
I think that's it. It's for them, it's numbers.
Yeah.
Versus, if you can do, say you do an hour haircuts, you charge 40 quid in Liverpool, or you do 4 haircuts in an hour.
Yeah, charging tenner. Yeah. No, it makes sense. But yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Sorry, I was going to burp then. Can't do that on a podcast. But yeah, so sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, so at what point did you kind of realize that you wanted to start the Cutthroat Pete brand?
So as I said, I opened the shop with my brother, and yeah, we had it for about 5 years, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years. We worked together, and great time. You know, we really enjoyed it. We were obviously self-employed. We were young, we were earning good money, and we're totally different. Me and that, you know, we've got different outlooks. We've got different views. You know, we do things differently. I love him like mad. He's my brother, obviously. But obviously, you know, no two brothers are the same. And I wanted to do things my way, and he wanted to do things his way. And I don't know. I suppose I always had the vision to end up where I am now. Back when I was 17, I wanted to do what I'm doing today. Back when I was 17, and
Sitting here,
yeah,
in this
being
podcast,
on a podcast with you was my dream. But yeah, everything I do now, I always think, you know, I really wanted to do this back when I was 17, and it's, you know, it's amazing that I've ended up doing it. So yeah, for me, the right step in my little path in my career, whatever, was to move into the city centre and open a shop. Do appointments only, you know, take me time doing a haircut. I've never been one for rushing a haircut. You know, anyone who's worked with me has kind of laughed at me in the past that I'm so slow, but that's what my customers enjoy. You know, I've spoke to someone recently and they were saying, how long are your appointments? And I was saying, you know, an hour and 15 minutes. And they were like, what? Like, I could not be arsed sat in the chair for an hour and 15 minutes, you know what I mean? But that's why they don't come to me. They go to their barber, they get, you know, 15, 20 minutes haircut, and they're dead happy with it, and that's great. My clients who come and sit in my chair enjoy sitting in the chair for that long, having a chat. You know, they like the hair, obviously, because they come back, and I'm happy, they're happy, and that's how I like to work. So, I again, as I say, from when I was young, I knew I wanted to work like that, and so yeah, moving out and starting the Cutthroat Pete brand was kind of my way of stepping forward in the industry and doing that. And I've always had a little interest in fashion, and you know, I love clothes, and I love brands, and I love independent brands. I love seeing how different brands do things, and you know, around the world, not just in the UK. And I took inspiration from a few different like independents, and yeah, I opened my little shop, well, my big shop in town. It was an 800 square feet shop, and I worked in there on my own, which was a bit crazy.
Like in the corner.
Yeah, me in the corner. Yeah.
I used to go in there and be like, "Peace, where are you?"
Yeah, but yeah, I worked in there on my own for 3 or 4 years, I think. And you know, I've loved having that shop every minute I've had it. It's such a nice space. It's the area itself, that part of the city centre is great.
You got it just at the right time as well.
I did, yeah. So the street that it's on there was only me. I was the only business on there when I first moved, and then coffee shop opened up next door, and then a chicken shop, a really good chicken shop, about 3 doors down. And then now you go there, and there's a brand new apartment block facing my shop. There's like a little square
car park as well.
Yeah, car park.
There's a good cut through, like the amount of people that walk through.
Yeah, it's
cut through Pete.
yeah. I might change the name, Cut Through Pete.
Yeah, the amount of people that cut through that little section now is just crazy.
It's incredible.
I remember when you were first there, I was like, "There's no footfall though."
Yeah.
So well, I don't need footfall
for
my clients, and
That's
then it's gonna get busy here. I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
it did."
Yeah, it's I didn't spot that from the beginning. I kind of spotted the unit because it was a little bit quieter than the rest of the city centre, and it was out the way. And my clientele, you know, enjoy that kind of little bit of exclusivity, and they like, you know, not being in the way of everyone else, really. And yeah, it just worked out really well for me. And then I moved out of there 2 years ago into my little studio space, and there's now 3 barbers working in the original Cutthroat Pete shop, and they're working really well. They're loving it. You know, it's great for them because, like you said, the footfall's so much more around there now, and they've got space for new clients. And yeah, it was great. When I was there, it was a bit of a pain because people obviously saw that my shop had opened up in town and were coming past and, you know, popping in and wanting to get a haircut, and it just didn't work like that. And I felt bad because I was turning people away daily, and you know, got a bit of bad feedback on social media about it, and people just weren't understanding that, you know, what the idea of the shop was. I don't think.
If you're fully booked, you can't take more people.
That's it.
That's the problem.
And you know, my book's full for has
It
been
was
full
6 weeks,
for
wasn't it?
yeah 6-8 weeks in advance. And if you take a new client on, then the guy who's in tomorrow can't book in for 6 weeks time because you're already full, and it gets to your waiting list gets longer and longer. And I didn't want that to be the case, because my clients have been with me, a lot of them, for 15 years, and they've kind of got me to where I am today, and I just wanted to respect that, and that's why I work how I do.
I remember sitting in there, like every time I'd pop in and just be there for 10 minutes, 2 people would walk past and go, "Any space, mate?" Just chances. And you'd be like, "Sorry, it's 6 week waiting list." And I'm like, "Okay, now." Yeah, dead angry.
Yeah.
And that was like every time I went there, it was like at least 1 or 2 people would pop in.
That's it. So that's, as I say, I stayed there. I stuck in there for 4 years, and then I thought, it's not good to be kind of building that reputation for myself, even though it's a good reputation to have. You're fully booked. It's amazing, but as I say, I was getting a bit of a dodgy backlash coming from it. People were thinking I was doing it for an ego thing, or to kind of make myself look better, but that wasn't the case at all. It was more just a case of looking after my clients and myself, because I don't enjoy, like I said, I don't enjoy standing back to back all day. I enjoy taking my time and enjoying doing what I do. And so yeah, as I say, I moved out, got my little studio that's hidden away, and no one knows where I am apart from Miguel. and yeah, it's a lot better now.
Yeah,
works well.
How have you found just having business in general? Like, have you found it a struggle, or?
No, not really. I say that, but then Jen sat at home doing all the accounts, and
she came on board a couple of years into
it. So I think 2018.
Jen's his wife, by the way, not like a slave.
locked under the stairs doing the accounts. No, 2018. Jen was in a job that she wasn't really enjoying. There was lots of pressure on her in her job, and seeing her, coming home knackered every day and being pushed beyond what was normal for an average person to be working. I just thought, well, I was kind of struggling to keep on top of my accounts and my online shop and stuff like that, and I just thought, well, it makes sense for Jen to come on board because I trust her, obviously, 1,000,000%, and she's got great management kind of background. She's worked in retail management, and she's got a great background like that, so it made sense for me to get it to bring her on board, and for Jen to work for me and do the bits that I can't do. And yeah, I think it was 2018 she started working with me, and she's still obviously working with me now, and it works really well. I don't like the business side of it. I don't like having to sit down and do stuff on a computer. I like creative stuff, but I don't like fucking spreadsheets and sums and all that shit. Like, that just reminds me of school. So Jen does all that side of it, thankfully, and so I say it's easy, but she makes it a lot easier than I suppose
it would have been like.
Yeah.
Well, I guess she came at a time, and she probably wouldn't have been that busy, but over the time she's been with you, she's helped the brand grow.
Yeah.
To the point where she's now got a really busy job for herself.
Yeah. Well, she came on board in I think it was 2018 or 20.
I think it was just after you'd got the
because I opened a shop on Jamaica Street in Liverpool, and that was when she came on board, because obviously I was struggling to do my own accounts and my own tax and my own bits and bobs, and then I opened a shop and I had two lads working in there, and I tried for a couple of weeks to do theirs on my stuff, and I just ended up with bags of paper everywhere. And when Jen came on board, decided to come work with me, she was going through all these bags and like trying to make sense of stuff that I'd scribbled on backs of like Chewy wrappers and that. Just didn't make any sense to her. So she set up all the stuff on the computer and set it all up like a proper business. And like you say, it's allowed the business to grow, and there's room for me to keep growing, which is the aim. But yeah, she's definitely taking care of that, and she's done a great job of that.
Would your idea be to grow the barbershop side of the brand, or would you rather create more growth in other areas? Because I know what having a shop's like, and it can be stressful.
Yeah, and when I say it's easy, and I don't find it stressful, there are little things that you have to deal with people. when I say deal with people, I mean like, you know, other people's problems become your problems, and yeah, you know, the adults sometimes don't act like adults, and I don't know, I'm not slagging anyone off, but it's you encounter little problems, and you know, working in such a small confined space of a barbershop can make people change, and so yeah, you know, you come across little speed bumps, and barbershops are not an easy thing to just open up. And when looking forward, I'd like another barbershop. I've been looking for another barbershop lately, and there's a you know, a big thing for a barber, Cutthroat Pete's on the Wirral, which is, like Miguel pointed out, that's where I live.
A place like home.
Yeah, so you know, I am gonna open a Cutthroat Pete's on the Wirral eventually, when all this lockdown bullshit ends. But yeah, that's the next move. But then yeah, there's scope for me to do other things as well. You know, Cutthroat Pete's as a brand is quite cool, and you know, it can be more of a lifestyle brand than just barbering. And over the past couple of years, I've taken a little step back in barbering and just had a proper look at it and thought, well, you know, it's changed a lot, hasn't it? You know, from when we first started, and then, you know, 10 years into when we first started, it was something else, and then, you know, I really enjoyed that time, and then 6, 7 years after that, it's gone somewhere now that I feel I don't know, I don't even know where it's at, to be honest. I kind of plod through life doing my own thing, and I have my own expectations, and I have my own passion, you know, within the industry, and I work with some brands that I love working with. But then, yeah, as I say, I look, you know, on social media and that, and I tend not to follow as many barber accounts as I used to, just because it's
a lot of egos.
Yeah, it's gone to a strange place, mate, and I don't know. I just there's been times over the past 2 or 3 years that I've thought about stepping away totally and just, you know, doing something else. But I do love, you know, I love my clients. I love the side of it that I get to be a part of, and my shops as well. You know, my shops have got great barbers working in them, and I love giving them a platform to work out of, and seeing them, you know, achieve what they can achieve, and helping them push to, you know, one of the lads who was with me for the longest has just left and opened his own shop, Jay, and his shop's amazing. He's opened an amazing little space, and that just makes me feel great, because, you know, I'm sad that he's left, but I'm also absolutely buzzing for him, because he's, you know, same age as me. He's been in the industry for the same amount of time as me, and what better thing to do than, you know, open your own shop and work for yourself and experience what it is to be a shop owner. So where are we going with that?
You were talking about how shit the time it is for the industry.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, you know, so I like all of them things, but then, like you say, you know, there's egos, and there's, I don't know.
I think like, I think I've spoke about it several times on this podcast. Even it's like we went through that period when, you know, Instagram started to become big, and we all were looking around the world, in fact, and going, wow, these guys are doing this, like, we're all barbers, we're all in this together. We'd go to events, we'd socialize, and be like, we'd be happy to meet up with these faces that we, you know, we connected with through Instagram. This is before even DMs was a thing.
Yeah.
So like, we'd have to trade numbers on a Instagram caption or whatever. And it, I don't know, it was just more light-hearted and less competition. You know what I mean? Like, it was less of a thing about who's the best, who does this, who does that. And then obviously over the past 6-7 years, a lot of people have come into the industry with these expectations of this Instagram fame, this and that. And I think it's kind of pushed the industry maybe in a direction that we really didn't anticipate.
Yeah, two things like stick out in my head, like, while we're on this subject, and I you probably get it yourself. I get a lot of messages off young up and coming barbers saying, like, me in particular, I get DMs. How do you become a footy player barber? How do you cut footy players' hair? How do you travel with your work? How do you become a famous barber? I'm not a famous barber, do you know what I mean? There's barbers out there with millions of followers now, and but yeah, people have this perception of, like, you know, my clientele is giving me a better life, or my clientele is doing this for me, and you know, that's all it is. It's a perception. Like you can't go to barber school and say I want to become a footballer's barber. you just go to college, you learn your trade, and then you know, if you attract these people as clients, then that's how it works. But to get into barbering because you want to cut football players' hair isn't really isn't a way into the industry, I suppose.
Oh.
And another thing, quite a lot of people say to me, and it kind of winds me up when it's said, and like people say to me, why don't you use your clients more? Why don't you expose your clients more on your social media? And you know, you could have 100,000 followers by now. But what I always say is I feel like I've got my clients because I haven't done that. So the well-known clients that I've got know that I'll go to the house, I'll go on holiday with them, I'll do whatever, and I don't take videos in the house, I don't take pictures of them in the house, I don't expose them, because they're my clients at the end of the day. They're paying for my service, and my service is that I go to their house and I cut their hair, or I go to wherever and cut their hair. I'm not in it to try and gain followers off them. I'm in it to have them as a client and for them to pay me, you know what I mean, at the end of the day. And the relationship that I've got with these people, and I feel like the relationships I've got with these people are because I haven't gone down that route. Fair enough, yeah, I could have, gone more public, or, spoke to press contacted me quite a lot, asking about my clients, and they must just get bored because every time I say, I've got no comments, or I don't want to speak to you. And it's because I don't want to speak to them about my clients, that's what they are. They're my clients.
Stop being your clients.
Yeah.
Or like at the very least, if they saw it, they're gonna lose a little bit of that respect.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
loyalty.
yeah. So
what do you get? They're just normal people at the end of the day.
That's it.
So why would you, and they become your friends?
Yeah.
Why would it's like?
And to lose that, but have 100,000 followers on Instagram is not worth it for me any day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's obviously it's great having a following on Instagram, and it's good to to interact with people, and it's nice to have like-minded people on Instagram. I've met me and you both met some amazing people through Instagram, and yeah, it's great to use it for that, but to use it to gain any fame, or to gain anything other than work is crazy,
Yeah.
But people do it. People.
Oh yeah, there's you go on. There's a lot of people who cut a lot of famous footballers' hair, and that's just all. Their Instagram is just
yeah, and they've got hundreds of thousand followers, and they. But
there are some of them who just do that as well. There's some people who just do like celebrity kind of and post it all over.
Yeah.
But then you get some of them who cut footballers' hair about 10 years ago and still post about it.
Yeah. It's become saying that it's become a snaky game as well, because my clients tell me that they get DMs off other barbers saying, "Let me cut your hair, and I'll cut your hair for free."
Yeah.
They might or might not know that that's my clients, but I would never ever message somebody saying, "Let me cut your hair, and I'll give you it for free, and I'll give you some products." That's
as if a footballer can't pay 12 quid for a haircut.
That's it. It's laughable, but people are doing this because they want more followers on Instagram, or they want fame from the job, and I guess maybe they've picked the wrong career to if you want to become famous from being a barber, then the kind of fame that these people seem to be looking for, then be a musician or be a rapper or do something else.
TikToker.
Yeah, but like that's, to me, that's what's made me a couple of times question whether I still love the industry as much as I did. But yeah, I do love it, and I've met you, you're a mate for life, and I've met other friends for life through the industry. And again, I say, my clients pay for my lifestyle, they pay for my house, they pay for my car, they pay for my holidays, and how can I ever thank them enough for that? They come and sit in my chair. That's their choice. I don't force anyone to sit in my chair, and the fact that they do and they pay me
I think I've seen that video.
Where I had that fella in a headlock, dragged them off the street.
Sit down.
Yeah. So yeah.
And how have you found? Like, I know you talk quite openly about mental health and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I do. I mean, I do to a degree. I want to do a little bit more because I've been on my own little journey. But how would you say that's affected you as a person?
mental health.
Yeah, and like where does it stem from, and what kind of issues would you say you have or had?
So as I say, you know, but stuff dates back to that day in the barbershop when I got a phone call saying someone was going to shoot me. That kind of, at the time I didn't realise, but that made me feel really anxious afterwards. And I had a few little anxiety kind of panic attacks afterwards. And then, so I was 18, 19 at that time. And then 21, I was 21 and I was 21 and I had a panic attack. I remember having a panic attack at home, and I spoke to my mum about it because my mum and dad, you know, have both suffered with their own mental health, in you know, in their own ways over the years. And around that time, my dad was suffering with a bit of depression, and you know, yeah. So I had this panic attack, and I told my mum, really close to my mum and dad, and I told my mum, and she explained to me about it, and she kind of, I saw how it went. And then the second panic attack I remember having, and she took me to the GP, and I went and saw a therapist through the GP, and had a little bit of cognitive behavioural therapy. And then for years I was great. Now and again in work, if I was, you know, if I'd look across and there was 4 or 5 people waiting for me, I'd feel a bit anxious, I'd feel a bit panicky, because, you know, I was thinking, well, I don't like to rush my haircuts, and the guy who's 5th in the queue there is going to be waiting maybe 2 hours for a haircut. But then, you know, this CBT therapy taught me to think, well, you know, if he wants me to cut his hair, then he'll sit and wait for 2 hours. If he doesn't, he'll go to one of the other lads. And so I kind of learned stuff, and, you know, I dealt with it for years. And then I think, so I got to my 30s. You know, breezed through life. Business was amazing. Got married, met Jen, got married. Everything was going well. Hit 30, and then I was working in town, and I'd opened Cutthroat Pizza in town, and started having anxiety attacks, not full-blown panic attacks, just anxiety attacks while I was in work. And I was stood behind the chair, and I'd have to grab onto the back of the chair because I thought I was going to pass out. And the pressure of not wanting my clients to know how I felt, plus the fact that I felt this way, was getting on top of me. And there was a couple of times where I just had to turn the lights off in the shop and lie down on the couch and, you know, get Jen to come and drive me home, and I'd have to cancel an afternoon's work. And I ended up becoming agoraphobic. I was, you know, me safe place was my house or the shop, and it's all just behaviours. So because I'd felt anxious in the shop, and then and I'd left the shop to try and get some fresh air, and I'd felt really anxious on the street. Then I've gone back to the shop and I felt all right. I felt safe at the shop then. So yeah, I went through a bit of a weird time for a couple of years. I ended up having 3 bouts of therapy, and yeah, you know, the therapy really worked, and speaking to somebody really helped me. And I always chose to not use medication, just for little personal reasons, really, that, you know, I've got in my mind, and I just didn't want to be on medication. So yeah, I chose to go down the therapy route, and as I say, yeah, it worked. You know, now I very rarely feel anxious. You know, there'll be times when I will feel anxious, but I can kind of pinpoint why it is, and then I can either take myself out of a situation, or I can explain to myself in my head why something's making me feel like that. And I'm equipped with a lot better tools now, and, you know, I feel like I can talk myself out of a situation, or I can make myself feel better in an hour or so, you know. And yeah, I feel much more confident. I feel more confident about life. I feel more confident about myself as a person having these tools, because, as I say, for a couple of years I was lost, and I was like, I didn't know where I was going, and I felt really, really strange. And I'm sure, you know, anyone who's listening that's had any mental health issues, or, you know, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's a really strange time. But as I say, you know, having these tools now and being proven to myself that I can deal with these situations has just made me a lot different. My outlook's different, and yeah, you know, it's nice to be able to, in our position as barbers, it's nice to be able to have people in the chair who are feeling that way, and they open up to you and tell you. And back when I was feeling like a piece of shit, if someone sat down and said to me, listen, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that you'll get through it, that used to give me like hope, and that used to make me think, yeah, one day I won't feel like this. And now for me to be that person and say, listen, I know I've been where you are, but you can feel great. Like that, it feels good to say that to people,
What I know you tried I think you tried the same therapist, but she had different methods. So you tried a few different. I know you tried the CBT, talking therapy.
Yeah.
You tried the tapping therapy as
Tapping as well, yeah.
What's that called? It's called something else, isn't it? Like EMT? No.
Emotional release, ERT, emotional release therapy.
Yeah. And what would you say was the most beneficial for you?
So I've done four lots of CBT in the past 15 years. The CBT always seems to work.
Do you still use that as a tool now? Do you like write down?
Or
do you more do it in your head?
Yeah, I've got. I feel like now I've got the tools in my head. Like if I have 4 or 5 rough days where I can't snap out of a feeling, I'll write down. I'll write how I feel and why I think I feel like that, and I'll try and journal everything. And then when I feel better, I can go back and look at it and think, well, yeah, I can pinpoint what was making me feel like that, or so yeah. When I'm having a little bit of a spell where I do feel anxious a lot, or overly panicky or anything, then yeah, I do write things down. So the CBT is amazing. For me, it worked really well. Other people have told me that it didn't work so well for them. I don't know whether that was the actual therapist that did a good job, or whether how I was more susceptible to it. I know my mum's very spiritual, and she's into crystal therapy and stuff, and she always says that I'm very susceptible to things because like my mind's so open, and I am open to trying different things. So yeah, CBT worked amazingly well, and the ERT, the emotional release therapy, that uncovered a lot of things that were like deep-rooted little problems. So when I was a kid, I scalded myself. I was 5 years old and went to hospital. I had a skin graft on the top of my arm, and they had to kind of strap me to a bed so that I didn't roll over in the night and move this new piece of skin that they'd grafted onto me. Excuse me while I cough. I haven't got COVID. Yeah, so they strapped me to the bed, and obviously I was 4 years old, and that happened and whatever. And when I feel anxious, I feel really restricted, and I feel claustrophobic. And through the emotional release therapy, the therapist found out that, or brought out that, like, that could have been like a subconscious feeling in my mind, or, a subconscious thought. And so by addressing that and using the ERT to around that subject, it kind of freed that off in my subconscious and in my mind. So now I feel, I feel less restricted, and I feel less claustrophobic in anxious situations, which is amazing, because for 15 years, no one had ever thought to tell me that, and no one had ever kind of pinpointed that point. So, as I say, now if I do feel, like someone's pressing on my chest, or I feel overly anxious, then I just think to myself, you're not tied to this spot, and you're not kept in this situation. I'm free to move anywhere I want, and yeah, it's made me, it's made things a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah. And how was I'll just touch on this, not your chest. How was your fitness journey? Like, we've all been following it on Instagram. How's that benefited you mentally?
Amazingly well. And the mad thing is, so I'm going back to being 30. I was 30 years old, and I was overweight, and I was anxious. And the therapist at that time I was seeing, she said to me, try exercise, try and get out walking, try and run, try and go to the gym. And years ago, when I was a teenager, I was an athlete. I was a Great Britain athlete. I was a shot putter. And I've grown up, around sport, and I was never a lazy person. I was always into training in some way or another. And the last thing I could think of doing when I felt anxious was exercise, because when I felt anxious, I felt dizzy, and I felt like I was going to pass out, like I said before. So to me, exercising brought my heart rate up, give me that little bit of a fuzzy feeling in my head, and straight away I felt anxious. So on a couple of occasions, that therapist I saw, she mentioned to me that I should maybe try, getting fit, and that would make me feel better. And so I signed up for an exercise, a kettlebell class in a local gym. And I went along, and I was put into a group with these 3 lads, all rugby players. And I tried to keep up with them. And worst mistake ever, mate. I literally did nearly pass out. I thought I was going to die. So these lads were throwing weights about, and, they were like, oh, you're a big lad. You come here with us. And, I was kind of trying to live up to that being a big lad thing that I've always tried to live up to, really, and tried to do what they were doing. And I ended up in the changing room lying on a bench with my legs up in the air and literally feeling like I was going to die. And the trainer came in and he was like, "You all right, mate?" And I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. And then when he left, I snuck out the gym and never went back. And again, that put me off training for another 5 years. It put me in a bit weird place. And
you linked the two.
Yeah. So
I remember that. I remember you telling me this. And
yeah.
You just said it made you feel terrible.
Yeah. So I'd go and have a walk, and my heart rate would go up to 120, and I'd think, shit, I feel anxious here, and like my head would be buzzing, and I think I was confusing, adrenaline and the feeling that you get when you exercise. I was confusing that in my mind for anxiety.
Just a trigger, isn't it?
Yeah. And then so I met Matt on one of my podcast episodes I did at the end of last year, middle of last year. Sorry, I met Matt through a mutual friend, and after the podcast, after our episode we'd recorded,
the year before last, you mean?
No, last this summer just gone.
Okay,
yeah, July I think it was. So after we'd recorded the episode, we stayed on Zoom and we carried on chatting. And I just said to him, I was like, "Mate, is there a chance I could ever see any abs?" Because I was an athlete back in the day. I was a great bit of an athlete, and I was 18.5 stone. My body fat was fairly low. Didn't have any abs, and I've gone through life up to now and never seen any abs. And he was like, "Mate, you can see your abs, yeah. You can get your body fat that low." And I was like, "But people all my life have said to me, you're a big lad. You're built big. You're meant to be 20 stone. That's just who you are, and that's how your dad's a big guy and your family are big." And I've always I've led myself to believe that. And Matt said to me, no, that's, you can change. And he showed me a few examples of people, one being Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man. He's obviously trained all his life. Yeah. And massive, was 28 stone or something, 30 stone when he won world's strongest man. And now he's got a full set of abs out on show. And, to see your abs, your body fat's got to be below 10%, I think, hasn't it?
12,
below 12,
below, yeah.
So, his body fat's down in them numbers, and he's still a big guy. And it just kind of, I massively thank Matt just for giving me that confidence and that them words of wisdom. And he said to me, I'll help you. I'll do it with you. So from that day onwards, from back in July last year, I've been on this little journey now, and I've lost 4 stone, 56 pounds. And I feel amazing. Mentally, I feel totally different. Just feel more clear. I feel like I can think clearly. And as I say, for years, when I was in school, I'd get the blame for stuff. I'd get the blame for influencing other kids on how they had their haircuts because I was a big lad. And it all stems back to me, being in school and this pressure being put on me because I was a big lad. And I've always been known as the big lad, And
are you a big lad?
I'm getting smaller now. My ass isn't touching the arms of this chair now. Miguel's at about 4 protein bars while we've been sat here. Got a 2-litre bottle of Coke under the thing. No, but as I say, I've always had that. Maybe I put the pressure on myself, but I felt pressure from other people to be the big lad. And
well, I was saying before, I remember you lost a lot of weight, you lost stones and stones of weight.
Yeah.
But then you got mentally, you felt weak, almost like you were emasculated.
Yeah,
that you were smaller because you were meant to be this big lad. And we were probably you were probably 22 at this point.
Yeah, 22, 23. Yeah.
And you looked incredible. You were hitting the sunbeds and stuff. And but then it just felt weird for you, so you just piled it back on. You stopped running.
Yeah.
It's weird how your mind plays tricks on you. You should be this way because people are telling you you should be this way.
Yeah.
but it's not the case. You know
No.
what I mean? You were probably happier and healthier then.
Definitely. And I had a weird conversation like that with someone the other day, and the fella I was speaking to, he's kind of done the same kind of fitness journey I did. He was smaller than me to start with, but he ended up competing in a show, and he did amazingly well. And he said to me, no one's ever understood this. He said, but my mind was playing tricks on me when I was a bigger lad. He said, and I used to look at myself and think, nah, you're not that much overweight. You maybe a stone here or there. And honestly, looking back to even this time last year, just before River was born, I was looking at myself then thinking, bloody hell, you've packed it on a bit there, but it's only a bit of a round belly, and like probably losing a little bit of weight off your cheeks.
You're a big lad.
Yeah. But looking back now, I'm thinking, bloody hell, I was huge. Like how.
What was your heaviest? Like
20, I was 24 stone.
24 stone.
Yeah, which is 300 and
big
something pounds. Yeah. I was.
No, seriously though, like that's heavy.
So I was. That's the heaviest I've ever been.
And like you're tall, but you're not giant.
No,
you know what I mean?
6'1", yeah.
6'1".
Yeah. So I was 24 stone. And I was kind of talking myself into thinking, well, I didn't know I was 24 stone, to be honest. I thought I was about 22. And I bought a good set of scales when I started training with Matt. And obviously session 1 was weigh myself, take some pictures, and then he started setting me schedules. And I weighed myself and seen 24 stone, and I literally makes me feel emotional thinking about it now. I literally could have cried, mate. I don't know how I got there. I don't know how I got to 24 stone. I don't know why I was 24 stone. I enjoyed drinking. I'd have a few glasses of wine every day. And
I remember at some point you were telling me you were going home and knocking like 6 cans of beer back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, every day I'd go home, go to the shop and get a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And just drink it at night.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
That's just liquid calories.
You never used to
eat
eat vegetables.
No, none at all. And it's I don't know whether that was because I hit this point at 30 and got really anxious, and then I was maybe drinking to mask a bit of that, or I wouldn't. People might look at that and say, yeah, you're an alcoholic. I don't think I was. I think I might have been using alcohol in a small way to mask some feelings or to
escape.
To make myself feel happy. But all I know is that now I'm 6 months into this journey with Matt, and
not drinking anymore at all.
I'm not saying at all that I won't drink. Like I had a nice drink over Christmas. I had a few nice bottles of wine, me and Jen, and yeah, if me or you wanted to go for a drink this week, I'd go, no problem. But I know now that I've told myself that drinking like I was isn't good for me. It's not good for me calories. It's not good for me body. It's just not good. So yeah, I just what I said to Matt was, and what Matt kind of talked to me about, was it being a lifestyle change rather than a short term thing. And my social media has gone crazy over the last 6 months because of this little fitness journey thing that I'm doing. And to be honest, I set out when I first went back to the gym, and I remember posting saying, I'm not going to hammer my social media with fitness stuff because I don't want to be another one of them people, who's looks like I'm looking for any well dones or anything. But in the same breath, I was proud of myself. I feel proud of myself that I've got on this journey, and by putting little bits out there just to see what people think, and the feedback is incredible. So many people have said I was in a really dark place due to lockdown, and sat in eating chippies every night and
under the stairs.
Yeah, a couple of bottles of wine, and and now like seeing that you've lost this weight has made me want to do the same. And I said it ages ago when I spoke about mental health, my mental health, and I always feel that if I can use my social media platform of my following, and I can reach out to one of them people, and one of them people will go to a therapist and get help, and then not feel anxious anymore, I'm buzzing with that. Like, I'm so happy. And the same with this. Like, I've had people say to me that because they've seen my stories or my posts, they've got on a little fitness journey themselves. And again, that gives me a great feel good factor. And I'm not doing it for that. I'm not doing it for for notoriety or for for Instagram or for anything other than I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for Jen and I'm doing it for River. And, you know,
River's his son, by the
River's
way.
my son. Yeah, he was born in March last year. And, you know, I've never been like an overly paternal type of person, you know. But like people who've got kids will tell you the moment you have a kid, like things change. And I just took a look at myself and thought, yeah, I need to change for him. I want to be able to chase him around, you know, and I want to take him to school and like, you know, and feel proud of me. And so yeah, that's why I'm doing it. But as I say, the added bonus is people are now saying to me, you know, I'm on a journey now, and
Getting
I wish,
inspired from it.
yeah, I wish them people all the best of luck, because it's horrible at the start, like getting into exercise and forcing myself not to, you know, to give up because I felt a little bit anxious was a struggle. But you know, I told Matt how I felt and what made me feel anxious, and he's been incredible, mate. He's given me exercises and, you know, things that don't overly raise my heart rate, and you know, it's only now 6 months, 7 months in that I'm starting to push a little bit harder. And I did a leg session yesterday and I felt like I was going to be sick a few times, and I felt that dizzy feeling, and I thought, it's not, you know, you're not anxious, you've just pushed yourself.
Yeah. I think a
That's
lot of people don't realize that, you know, if you are on a fitness journey and whatever, you know, whatever level you're at in the first place,
Yeah.
you don't have to overexert yourself
Yeah,
to
definitely.
get, you know, to see the results at the
Yeah.
start or the end. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? You
yeah,
have
yeah.
like, I don't like feeling gassed when I'm
Yeah,
training.
yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? I hate deadlifts. I hate squatting.
Yeah,
Because I like just doing me compound exercises and
Yeah, yeah.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm in like that heart rate zone, you know, like 100 beats per minute.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just chilling with a podcast. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It doesn't need to be, oh, I'm doing a hit session
No.
and I'm going to die and feel
That's-
sick afterwards. It
that's
doesn't
it.
need to be like that.
No.
It's disheartening if you are trying to get into training and you pushed to that limit, like
100%.
you were in that class that
Definitely,
you went to.
yeah.
It just puts you off straight
Yeah.
away, because it's like you won't enjoy it.
No. And that's what Matt said. He said, you know, if I give you a circuit to go and do for your first session, and, you know, you go and absolutely kill it and then feel like a piece of shit, and, you know, you
Can't
won't
walk
go,
for 3 days.
yeah, you won't go back. Whereas go in, do some curls, do some, you know, stuff you enjoy doing, and then tell me how you feel. And, you know, the weight started coming off, and the big thing for me has been the food, mate.
Nutrition is it's the biggest part.
I'm now eating broccoli. I'm eating, you know, spinach. I'm eating asparagus. I'm eating all this green food that I haven't had for 36 years. And yeah, I'm not, you know, I don't love it, but I know that it's playing a part in me losing weight and, you know, me getting this six pack. But yeah, you know, advice is just to kind of speak to someone who knows what they're talking about, and go with what you enjoy rather than trying to kill yourself, because people are really surprised that I'm not doing any cardio, and I'm doing a little live workout tonight with Matt on Instagram, and we're doing a Q&A after it, so you know, I'm open to get some questions on there. But loads of people are saying, what cardio are you doing? And I haven't done any cardio for the past 7 months, and I've lost 5 stone. And
I think a lot of people don't realize that cardio is just a different heart rate to the fat burning. You know, it's one level above that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you are in that level below, that's where you're going to be burning more fat.
That's it.
That's why most bodybuilders do uphill walks on a treadmill.
Yeah.
They don't go and run.
Yeah.
Because they're not trying to get the heart beating that fast.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's cardio. That's health for the heart. It's not burning fat. I mean, it is burning fat, but not as well as it could be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, we've you know, there's going to come a point in the next 6 months where, you know, I will do a bit more walking or jogging or whatever. But that'll be to get rid of like any little bits that are still lingering around that, you know, I haven't got rid of. But yeah,
it's going to be easier as the weight comes off too.
Yeah, that's
because I can't imagine it's easy on the knees and the joints and stuff when you know.
I've got 2 30k dumbbells in work that I've been using, and I picked them up the other day, and I thought, bloody hell, these are heavy. And then that's more or less, that's 60 something pounds, isn't it? You know, and that's more or less equivalent to what I've lost in weight. And it blows me mind that, you know, 6 months ago, I was me plus them 2 dumbbells, and now I'm me minus them 2 dumbbells. You know what I mean? Yeah. It blows me mind. Like, where's that weight gone? You know, it's weird, isn't it?
I think a lot of people don't realize how like linked your mental and physical well-being are connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's hard for you to tell someone like your therapist said years ago. You know, you're anxious or you're depressed or whatever. You should do some exercise, and you're like, that's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
People said that to me when I had depression, like 2014. They were like, do some exercise.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
Like, but knowing what I know now,
Yeah.
I'd push myself to get out there and do
yeah.
some exercise, and I know that it'll make a difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't make your depression go away.
No.
But it can help that.
Definitely.
Because it could be that you are overweight and you start to see results through doing this exercise. And then
that'll give it a boost.
Exactly, yeah. So it's all connected.
Yeah. And, you know, different types of exercise as well. Like if someone had said to me, sitting down on the couch or on a dining room chair and doing some curls and some shoulder press and, you know, that equals exercise, I'd have probably gone, yeah, go on, I'll try that then. But in my mind at that time, I was thinking, you know, I don't want to go out and walk miles because the further away from home I am, the more anxious I feel. So, you know, even walking wasn't an option for me at that point. And, you know, running, I can't run because I'm too heavy. And I was making all these excuses. But, you know, there's exercises, like you said, that you can pretty much maintain a basic, you know, standard resting heart rate, but still get exercise. And, you know, by doing that, you will get them feel good endorphins, and you know, you definitely will feel better.
Boost all the good chemicals inside the.
Hang on, someone put 5p in the meter.
Then my battery on my light just went out in the studio.
Hey, what's that? Son's just grabbed my leg.
That's meant to last like 4 hours, that battery.
How long have we been in? Is it tomorrow?
Yesterday. Anyway, I know you've got to go and you've got to do this live, and I've got to go because I got to pick my dog up. But yeah, you'll have to come back and we'll talk some more, because that hour just flew by like so quick.
100%. And you know, I just want to say thanks for having me on. Obviously, you know, I haven't had a chance to say it to this point, but from working with you when you were 17 years old and, you know, this little skinny kid, to now seeing what you've built with your barbering empire and your brand and your shops, it's refreshing to see. It's nice to see, and it's nice to see that you're inspiring other people to follow, you know, what they want to do. So yeah, I'm buzzing for you, mate. It's always good to see someone doing well. And
thanks, bro. I just need to get batteries. Then you'll be more proud of me.
Get off my leg.
I'm actually sitting in Pete's lap right now. No joke.
What's that on me?
So if you want to follow Pete, you can jump on his Instagram. It's just Cutthroat Pete. And his shop is Cutthroat Pete's Barbershop. And then there's the Cutthroat Pete Collective.
Yeah. I'm actually doing a full rebrand. So this February, next week, we're rebranding everything. It's all still going to be Cutthroat Pete, but we've had new logos, and we're going for like a totally new look on the branding and clothing and stuff. So something to look out for.
Awesome. Thank you very much, bro.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.
See you soon.
See
Love
ya.
you.
Bye.